If Lionel Messi wins this World Cup, it should be declared illegal for anybody to ever second guess his GOAT status ever again. And there are no recent events that have led me to hold this opinion. None at all. The World Cup is upon us. A tournament laced so heavily with controversy that it's crazy it's going ahead in the first place. Anyway, after planning a video on Granit Xhaka's redemption arc, only to remember that the league is on hold for a bit, I thought to myself, fuck it, let's do a preview/predictions video. And as fate would have it, I stumbled upon an article written in the Telegraph the other day that caught my eye. Referenced from the 15th of November, 5 days prior to the tournament's opener, the odds for the top 9 most likely world victors according to Bet365 at that moment in time are shown on screen. Well, I mean, just the percentages, at least. Gotta build up some suspense, you know. We'll use this article as a springboard as we progress through the video, so all will be revealed in time. I often shy away from making hard predictions on this channel because I would much rather analyze things that have already happened than make a wild call that leaves me with egg on my face. You know, call me crazy, am I right? But I'm feeling confident. So for everyone in the comments that's been asking for my predictions, you're in luck.
This is exactly what I've been waiting for.
Without further ado, who will win the 2022 World Cup? Yo, what's going on everyone? Hope you're all doing well. I'm Tinashe and welcome back to the channel. If you wouldn't mind, the subscribe button is right there. Thanks. So I want to start this one off with the team that I've always thought was heavily favored for the tournament, even before doing any of the research for this video, and surprise, surprise, it's Argentina. I know. Shocker. Tipped as the second most likely to win it all, the South American champions have been on a tear for the better part of 2 years now. They are currently on a 35-game unbeaten streak and have only conceded 17 in that stretch. 70 goals scored too, by the way. That's 7-0. The problems of the past, where the team was horribly unbalanced and inconsistent, seem to finally be problems of the past. And perhaps most significantly, Lionel Messi has awoken from the great slumber of 2021. La Pulga has scored 12 goals and made 14 assists in 19 games for PSG so far this year and becomes an absolute monster whenever he puts on the famous blue and white strip. And you can't really write a better story. In what looks to be his final World Cup, it's only fitting that he probably has the best chance he's ever had to give a large portion of the footballing world what they truly want. With their Copa America victory last year, nobody would blame you for truly believing that their major tournament curse has been lifted. The aggression in the midfield and defense, the accountability all across the pitch, they've got something going for them this time around. Injuries have already claimed the likes of Lo Celso, which is a huge loss, but assuming the rest of the guys stay fit, these guys will be, in my opinion, the toughest draw for anybody. Their Group C opponents likely know all of that already. However, in knockout football, absolutely anything can happen. Poland, with the constant threat of Lewandowski, can't be approached recklessly. But then again, they failed to progress past the group stages in any World Cup since 1986. Likewise, Saudi Arabia have failed to progress past the first stage since 1994, and to this day, they're not really a high-scoring team. And Mexico? Well, Mexico are cursed. 7 straight tournaments, 7 round of 16 exits. So while I'd put them alongside Argentina as the other team to make it out of this group, history doesn't paint a flattering picture of what's to come. But again, that's what makes this tournament so exciting. Anything can happen. But yeah, nah, they're not gonna win it. With all that in mind, in my professional opinion, I'm confident that this is how Group C will finish up. Backtracking to the top of this list, and we have Brazil with a 21% chance of making it trophy number 6. And why not? It was Brazil that Argentina beat in last year's Copa America in a tightly contested affair. The Albiceleste were deserved winners that time, but Brazil put up some heat in that tournament and have continued to do so since. Their attack has been lighting it up on the domestic scene so far. Neymar, along with Messi, has seen a fantastic return to form. They also both know how to ask for permission before leaving a game early. Again, I'm not referring to anyone in particular when I say that. Somehow, 39-year-old Dani Alves has made the squad. I'm guessing for moral support? It's kind of like how he used to always be in the team of the year regardless of how he performed, I guess. Vinicius, Antony, Casemiro, Alisson, or Edison. Can you imagine having that choice? Gabriel Jesus, Paqueta, Martinelli, Marquinhos, Militao. These guys are stacked. Like Argentina, actually more so than Argentina, Brazil blasted through their qualifiers and are looking very, very dangerous. And because I'm an agent of chaos, give me those two in the final. That'd be something, huh? But let's not jump the gun just yet. Brazil have a pretty tricky group ahead of them. Cameroon, Switzerland, and Serbia. Cameroon, who bested Algeria to make it through to this tournament, have historically been a team that's full of surprises in World Cups. Serbia, who have a very talented central area and attack, beating out Portugal for top spot in their qualifying group, and Switzerland, who have a habit of getting past the first round, 4 times in their last 5 World Cups. Also, the boys who knocked France out of the most recent Euros. The Swiss saw Pogba do like 15 celebrations after 1 goal and chose violence, I guess. So, as for Group G, this is 100% what it will end up like. Trust. You can't see me right now, but I'm saying this with chest. With that being said, I think it's time to move on to the third most likely to win it all on this list, the defending champions, France. Listen here, okay? These guys absolutely tore through the competition 4 years ago, and they still have one of the most electric teams on the planet. You gotta believe they have what it takes to run it back. And they have a great track record as defending champions. Okay, but there's no drama around the team, so at least the federation's in good shape? Okay, in all seriousness though, France have a great squad. They are missing some very heavy hitters in N'Golo Kante, Paul Pogba, Presnel Kimpembe, and just a few days ago, Christopher Nkunku. Also, Karim Benzema probably isn't going to be at full fitness, and neither is Rafael Varane, but this country is still one that's blessed with unbelievable depth. But even pushing that aside, the mood around the team is shrouded with uncertainty amongst onlookers. I've spoken about the curse of champions before in this video, so you can check that out if you want. But long story short, world champions have grossly underperformed as defending champions in recent editions, not even making it out of the group stages for a lot of cases. And I guess there are a lot of reasons for that. Although I do feel that France are certainly still the strongest team in their group, so I don't see them being stopped at that hurdle. But you never know. Tunisia are looking okay and very well could surprise people. They had a more than decent qualifying campaign and they're gonna grab this opportunity with both hands. Having said that, they've never made it past the group stage in any tournament they've been to, so you can make of that what you will. Australia made it past once in 2006, but weren't so hot at all 5 of the other tournaments they've qualified for. They came into this one by way of the Interconfederation playoffs after scrapping with the UAE. And then we have Denmark, a team that I think a lot of people always expect to be a problem. Since winning the Euros without even qualifying in '92, I don't think many are quick to be dismissive of the Danes. Accruing the joint highest amount of points in the qualifiers amongst all of UEFA, making the most recent Euro semi-finals, and on top of all of that, having one of the most likable groups of players out there, they're certainly a team to watch out for. Group D is tricky, but here is 100% what it would look like. I'm sure of it. No doubt about it. I think. Maybe. And on to the other team with the joint most accrued points in the UEFA qualifiers, Germany. According to the article in the intro, they are also the 6th most likely team to win the whole thing. Just under Brazil, Germany are historically the most dangerous World Cup team. And if we were to go on history alone, I'd lump Italy amongst them too. But, you know. Hey, none of my familial teams of South Africa, Zimbabwe, or Botswana are even in contention, so I'm allowed to poke fun. Anyway, after crashing and burning in 2018, where the curse of champions claimed yet another victim, Germany are seeking redemption. And also, they're heading into nothing bad per se, but definitely something different. The first World Cup for the German national team without Joachim Löw since 2006, which is a long time, in case anyone was wondering. Marco Reus sadly has to sit out yet again. Unfortunately, it's most likely his last shot too. You gotta feel for the guy. Otherwise, the team is looking decent. Some young talent, some old heads. I have them as the table toppers for this group, but it certainly won't be easy. Japan, Costa Rica, and Spain. This has to be the toughest draw, if you ask me. Each of these nations has some incredible talent, to say the least. Spain are former champions boasting a competent manager and some unbelievable individuals. They have the previous 2 golden boys in Gavi and Pedri. A good deal of pace and control comes with Fati, Nico Williams, Rodri, and Biscuits. They may not be as dominant as they were 12 years ago, which was their first World Cup win by the way, but even stretching back before that tournament, they were always a team that could turn it on at the flip of a switch. I think that's still the case. Japan are filled to the brim with talent, and I'll be the first to admit, I haven't really watched them play all too much since the last World Cup, but if memory serves correctly, they absolutely did their thing last time and only just managed to lose in the round of 16 thanks to a Belgium comeback. Takumi Minamino, Takefuso Kubo, Takehiro Tomiyasu, Daichi Kamada, these are dangerous men. Watch out. And then we have Costa Rica, who are entering their 6th World Cup after going through the trenches to get there, finishing 4th in the qualifier groups after only winning 1 of their first 7 games and beating New Zealand in the Interconfederation playoffs. They've got Keylor Navas, as many will know, but with Joel Campbell in your team, you always have a chance. Ask any Arsenal fan. Now, this group is the first group that I'm not certain of the outcome. Nonetheless, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that it will end up like this. As per Bet365, the 4th most likely to win it all is a big one: England. Now, I'm not English, but a lot of my family is, and I also grew up on the EPL, so I guess for those reasons, I've been heavily influenced by the culture. So I will admit that I do have a bit of a soft spot for this team. This English side could really be something. They've had a bit of a resurgence starting in 2018, where they made it to the semis of the World Cup, and I can't lie, the thought did cross my mind back then that they would go all the way, but it wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. Similar situation occurred at the Euros, where they made it to the finals and even scored first. However,
one step further.
And the current state of the English squad is a little bit odd, to say the least, from what we've seen. Ultra defensive play, every right back that the country can produce being selected, waistcoats, hungry for a win is what I meant. In their last 6 games heading into this tournament, they've not won once. Having said that, I do believe that they are genuine contenders. They have class all over the pitch. However, it really does depend on which England shows up, or rather, which England Gareth Southgate sets up to show up. Some pretty notable exclusions to the squad include Fikayo Tomori and Ivan Toney, who I believe both of them deserve spots on this team, but putting that aside, I think this team is pretty balanced. If you told me a year ago that Jadon Sancho wouldn't be going to this World Cup, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are, and unfortunately for him, based on form alone, is the right choice. The United States, Wales, Iran, and England will battle it out against each other in what is essentially a group full of derbies. The UK derby between England and Wales, the Christian Pulisic derby between England and the States.
He's like the LeBron James of soccer.
Definitely.
The US has been growing and growing in football stature for years now, and it only seems as if the scene is getting bigger by the day. And how can it not be? I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Just look at the wealth of talent that's been coming from there in recent years. Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie, and many more have established themselves in top leagues, and with 330 million plus, you think that the numbers will only go up. However, the US hasn't been as convincing as a national unit lately. 2 draws and a loss in their 3 most recent games, and a lack of fluidity have left a lot of US hopefuls a bit uncertain of what's to come. Their road to qualification was a bit bumpy, and there are concerns over their manager Greg Berhalter and how things play out on the pitch. Wales certainly won't make things easy for them. They are in their first World Cup since 1958, and I'd imagine that they're really going to be wanting to stake a claim to a more recurring spot. Gareth Bale may be older and less explosive, but he always puts on a show for these boys when called upon. They'll be relying on him. The same goes for Aaron Ramsey. Manchester United legend Carlos Queiroz has returned to Iran for his 2nd stint with their national team and will undoubtedly bring his wealth of experience to the table. They won their AFC group, edging out South Korea by 2 points. Again, this is a team that I haven't watched all too much of, so maybe that's indicative of a pending upset. Anyway, here's how I see this group playing out. Again, not a doubt in my mind. Clip this. Don't clip this, please. Group H. Over here we have yet another stacked ensemble. Some very dangerous teams here indeed. But according to the bookies, Portugal is the most dangerous. 7%. You think Portugal, you think Cristiano Ronaldo. Simple as that. Like Messi, this is likely Ronaldo's last chance to ever pick up gold. However, unlike Messi, his chances are, at a glance, nowhere near as high. Also, Portugal has never won a World Cup, which is a shame because on paper, Portugal has always possessed some of the most talented footballers to grace the planet. This time is no exception. In fact, some could convincingly argue that this is the best collective of players that the Portuguese have ever brought to a World Cup. Just look at this. It's disgusting. But they have failed to show the bite that really should be associated with a team that boasts such a large variety of star power in the run-up to this tournament. Fernando Santos has been in the firing line for a hot minute now as the manager. Strange tactics, underutilization of players in their native positions, he has a lot to answer for. Qualifying through the playoffs and failing to switch on when it matters seems to be a trend. This happened not only in the regular qualifiers, but in the Nations League, where they choked at the final hurdle against Spain, failing to qualify for the finals next year. But again, with a plethora of natural talent, in knockout football, you always have a shot. Portugal know that all too well. The streets will never forget Lord Eder. Another team stacked with talent is Uruguay. And Portugal really should be worried, as they fell victim to them in the round of 16 last time. It's strange to say that a two-time champion is a dark horse, but I think there is some truth to that. Unreal how a population of only 3.4 million people can produce such a wealth of talent. We will likely witness the last rides of Luis Suarez, Diego Godin, Edinson Cavani, and Fernando Muslera. All very big names. Big things will be expected from World Cup first-timers such as Darwin Núñez and Fede Valverde, who will likely be a lot to handle for sure. But Uruguay most certainly won't be given a helping hand. Most certainly from Ghana. The last time the two nations met in a World Cup, Luis Suarez produced one of the most controversial moments in World Cup history. A blatant hand, a red card, a missed penalty, not his fault, but still, and Ghana's elimination. Again, Ghana are a nation with fantastic players. I mean, how else would you have expected them to qualify in the first place? And there is always a chance, but in my opinion, they may have the hardest time in this group. The final team in their way is South Korea. South Korea are coming into this tournament in good form. 5 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in the run-up to this campaign. Son Heung-min, who just had surgery on his eye socket, will provide a boost to his country by returning in time. Kim Min-jae's been turning a lot of heads for Napoli this year. They sit at the top of the table in Serie A, and that's thanks in large part to his solidity. They may not be the favorites to win the whole thing, but just remember, South Korea is a team that's capable of an upset, just like they did 4 years ago against Germany, where they beat them by 2-0 in the groups to leave Germany in 4th place. South Korea finished in 3rd and didn't progress themselves, but I'm sure you get what I mean. This is how Group H is going to pan out. Trust me, I've never once told a lie, and I'm not about to start now. Next up, Belgium. Deemed to have a winning chance of 6%. I have such conflicting feelings about Belgium. You know, this is a country that has had what is probably the definition of a golden generation over the past 10 years or so, but has failed to capitalize. I mean, they got to the semi-finals in the 2018 World Cup, beating the likes of Brazil, Japan, and England twice. Lukaku, Eden and Torgan Hazard, Dries Mertens, Toby and Jan, the man who can never talk, and the best goalkeeper on the planet. The clock keeps ticking and they're all getting up there in age, so you'd have to imagine that now is this generation's last chance. Although, unfortunately for them, they're also in somewhat of a group of death. Croatia, the current silver medalists and apparently also home to a fountain of youth, will be a big problem as they typically are. Can they go all the way this time? They're in good spirits after a fantastic Nations League and World Cup qualifying campaign, and their defense is something that caught my eye in particular in the former of those tournaments. A bit of young and a bit of old. Josko Vardiol is incredible, Josip Juranovic, Borna Sosa, Dejan Lovren will be nice to have. Let's see. The midfield of Brozovic, the young Luka Modric and Kovacic is just world class. And the attack isn't the worst by any means. Canada are playing in their first World Cup since 1986, and for good reason too. They have been in incredible form coming in, blitzing through the qualifiers, finishing at the very top of their group. Everyone is likely very familiar with Alphonso Davies, but he's just coming off an injury, so let's see how things pan out for him. I expect a big tournament from the likes of Jonathan David and Stefan Eustáquio, who are both doing really well at club level. Morocco are yet another team that I don't really have much of a read on. Another fantastically talented team that can do some crazy damage if things go right, but also a team where the manager has only taken charge of 2 games for them, 1 loss and 1 draw. You could even say that that represents their chances of making a good run, 50-50. Here's how this group will 100% end up. Croatia have been too consistent to ignore in my eyes, so they get the top spot for me, and as you know, my predictions are always right. And last but not least, the host nation, Qatar. But actually, the Netherlands. Look, Qatar have never actually qualified for a World Cup in their history. They qualified for this one because they're the hosts, so I guess all signs point towards a disappointing campaign. right? Well, not exactly. They won the most recent 2019 Asian Cup and even made it to the semis of the CONCACAF Gold Cup as an invitational team. Almoaz Ali was the top scorer in both of those contests, and you can bet your ass he'll be representing his country at this World Cup. I wouldn't write them off just yet. I don't think I need to go into much detail about how sturdy of a nation the Netherlands is. Golden generation after golden generation, these guys just know how to come up with the goods. I think it's common opinion at this point that this is the greatest nation to never win a World Cup, which I guess when you really analyze it is kind of both an insult and a compliment. They've been given a 7% chance of coming up victorious this time around, but let's forget the numbers for a second. What they really need is luck. Runners-up on 3 occasions, semi-finalists twice. Even still, they go into this tournament with a 15-game unbeaten streak, last tasting defeat against the Czech Republic in the Euros last year. They look tough. Louis van Gaal is now in his 3rd spell and will be hoping his boys can come up with some horny football. Yes, I did mean to say that. And they'll likely need all that luck to make it past the champions of Africa, Senegal. Undoubtedly the best team that the African continent has to offer. I mean, Ismail Assar, Kalidou Koulibaly, Edouard Mendy, they've got a good team. They became continental champions and qualified for the World Cup at the expense of Egypt. Both times on penalties, both times with Sadio Mane scoring the deciding pen. Both times with Mo Salah being left feeling green with envy. Jokes aside, if you're in a stadium, don't do this. Like, why would you do this? Recently, Sadio Mane suffered an injury that many believed would sideline him for the World Cup and beyond. However, it appears that he's still included in the Senegal squad, so who knows what's going on there. Regardless, Senegal are very strong with or without him. They're obviously a lot stronger with him, but still, I wouldn't count them out. And finally, Ecuador, the lowest ranking team of the 4 CONMEBOL participants. They had a great qualifying run, scoring the joint 2nd highest number of goals along with Argentina. So they do pack a punch. This is their 4th ever World Cup and their 1st since 2014, so I'm guessing they're gonna want to make up for lost time. Here is undoubtedly how this group will end up. Perhaps a bit controversial, but I have Senegal topping the lot. If you disagree, fight me. Right, so we've reviewed the groups and taken a brief look at our participants. This is a brief snapshot, in case you forgot the last couple of minutes. Let's now go back into how I think, how I know the World Cup is going to pan out. Not going to waste anyone's time any further. I've consulted with my team of big brain scientists and had many deep discussions with them on this. We have concluded that this is exactly how the knockouts will pan out. If you disagree with science, which isn't a good look for you, my friend. Even though the Netherlands won't win their group, they will make a deep run to the finals, but will unfortunately lose out to eventual winners, Argentina. Brazil and Argentina do meet, but only in the semis thanks to the permutations. And as for France, the curse won't claim them, but they still won't be able to retain. And whatever, man, I guess let's have Brazil coming in 3rd place, beating out Uruguay in that playoff. My third eye and my team of scientists predict that it'll be a decent tournament. Because I know that betting on my predictions will result in me absolutely cleaning house, I'll spare the bookies for now. Also, if you're thinking about using these predictions for your own betting, don't. Seriously, don't do that. I don't even have a team of scientists. I made all that up. I'm unsure about all of this. Happy World Cup, guys. And there we have it. Let me know all your high IQ, big brain predictions in the comments. In the coming weeks, the content is probably going to be a bit more reactionary than usual, just to keep up with all the action, you know, this festival of football and whatnot. But don't worry, I'm going to try and make the content as high quality as it always has been. In my eyes, at least. Some people in the comments may disagree. Anyway, that's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.